Welcome to this Be Red Cross Ready presentation. Thank you for your interest in learning more about the American Red Cross Preparedness Essentials. The fact is that disasters happen. They happen often, they happen with little or no warning, and they can happen anywhere and at any time. Every year, communities across the United States face different kinds of hazards. Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and winter storms have seasons where they are more likely to affect communities. Wildfires burn thousands of square miles, and home fires impact thousands of households. It is a disaster if normal response systems are overwhelmed, people are hurt, or property is damaged or destroyed. There are many types of disasters that strike across the U.S. What types of hazards are we most likely to face in our area? The hazards that we are most likely to face include home fire, earthquake, flood, tornado, wildfire, extreme heat, thunderstorm, landslide, and winter storm. Although these are all hazards that could happen in our area, some are more likely to happen than others. In our region, past experiences tell us that we face a number of hazards that can have huge impacts on individuals and the community. If any of the disasters that we talked about have a lot of people assuming that someone else will be there to help. However, resources aren't there just to support everyone immediately. First responders, disaster organizations, government agencies, and hospital emergency rooms do their best. But on average, these groups are staffed and prepared for a normal day-to-day operation, and resources may be limited during a disaster. The truth is that we will have to depend on ourselves first. Why? Because roads may be impassable, utilities may be unavailable, hospitals and first responders could be overwhelmed, and banks, grocery stores, gas stations, pharmacies, schools, and workplaces may be closed for days. You may also need to help others, such as members of your household, neighbors, or those who may have functional or access needs. We cannot always count on receiving help right away. All of us can and should be prepared to help ourselves and our households. Will preparation be perfect? No. Will preparation make things quick, easy, or painless? Not always. But planning and preparation will help you to be safe and recover quickly. Think about what it means to you to be prepared. When we are prepared, we can take protective actions to be safe, react in the right ways, adapt to tough challenges, and recover quickly from difficulties. So what does it take to be prepared? To be Red Cross ready, you need to do 3 things. Get a kit, make a plan, and be informed. Now let's look into each of these in a little bit more detail. If a disaster strikes in your community, you might not have access to food, water, electricity, a medical facility, or even a drugstore. Preparing a disaster kit for your household is an important step to keep everyone safe and healthy during a disaster. Consider assembling 2 kits of supplies. In one kit, everything you will need to stay at home for at least 3 days. As you're able, work to gather enough supplies in this kit to last for 2 weeks. The other kit, often called a go bag, should be a lightweight, smaller version that you can take with you if you need to leave your home quickly. It should contain everything that you would need to be on your own for 3 days. Based on the needs of the household members that you live with, this could be one kit for the entire household or separate kits for each member. Customize these kits to meet everyone's personal needs and the disasters that are common to your area. To build your kit, think about what you might use on a daily basis and what you might do if those resources were limited or not available. Start with the basics: food, water, clean air, and any life-sustaining items that members of your households may need to maintain health, safety, and independence. Basic supplies include non-perishable, easy-to-prepare food items, a manual can opener, and water. Remember, you may be without electricity and you may only have the water that you have stored. The amount of water that you should have stored is at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. Half of that is for drinking and half for sanitation. You may need more than this depending on the specific needs of those in your household and the environment in which you live. You will also want a flashlight and a battery-powered or hand crank radio. If possible, get a weather radio so that you can receive important weather statements. You may also sign up in advance to receive emergency notifications from your local emergency services. Also include extra batteries, a first aid kit, a 7-day supply of medications and medical items. Also keep a copy of prescriptions, dosage, and treatment information. Include a battery backup for power-dependent mobility devices such as oxygen and other assistive technology needs. Talk with your doctor or pharmacist about what other actions you can take. Also include a multi-purpose tool, sanitation and personal hygiene items, copies of personal documents such as medication lists and important medical information, proof of address, a deed or lease to your home, passports, birth certificates, and insurance policies. Include current digital photos of loved ones, and remember to update these every 6 months, especially for children who change and grow quickly. A cell phone and charger, household member and emergency contact information, extra cash, at least one emergency blanket, and maps of the area, as you may not have access to maps on your cell phones or computers. While I just listed a lot of items, don't be overwhelmed. Preparedness is a process that takes a little bit of time. Consider building your kit one step at a time and focus on adding new items each week until your kit is complete. Don't forget to make a kit for your pets or service animals. Be sure to include water, food, identification tags, and other necessary supplies. No matter what is in your kit, it's important that everything works when a disaster strikes. Check the expiration dates of foods, medicines, and batteries at least twice a year and replace anything that has expired or is near expiration. We've already talked about the essentials for your kit, and now we need to talk about what you might need to customize your kit based on the specific needs of your household and on the types of disasters that are possible in this area. For example, there are weather radios with text displays and flashing alerts so that you can stay informed even if you have difficulty hearing. What other things might you want to add based on the specific needs of your household? You also want to be able to store what you need in your kit. So collect the following items as appropriate from around your home as soon as you become aware of a potential disaster or if you need to evacuate. Medical supplies such as syringes, glucometers, diabetic testing strips, ostomy bags, and catheters. If you undergo routine treatments or receive regular services, talk with your service provider about their disaster plans. Assistive or disaster adaptive devices, including supplies for service animals, communication boards or tablets, baby supplies like bottles, formula, baby food, and diapers, pet supplies such as collar, leash, ID, food, bowls, and a pet carrier, and include an extra set of vehicle keys and house keys. Any additional supplies to keep at your home or in your kit include a whistle, a respirator, matches, rain gear, towels, work gloves, tools and supplies for securing your home, extra clothing, a hat, and sturdy shoes, plastic sheeting to keep things dry, duct tape, scissors, household bleach, entertainment items that could bring you comfort when you're feeling stressed, such as playing cards, photos, books, games, etc., blankets or sleeping bags, sunscreen, and insect repellent. These additional items may provide additional protection from the elements and help with your recovery. Over the past couple of slides, there have been a lot of suggested items for your kits, and you can visit redcross.org/prepare for a list of items to consider. Since you do not know where you'll be when a disaster occurs, consider preparing supplies for your work and your vehicles. Kits for work should be in one container, such as a backpack or bag, and be ready to grab and go in case you are evacuated. Have some food and water in the kit, and also be sure to have comfortable walking shoes at your workplace in case an evacuation requires walking long distances. A kit for your vehicle is important in the event that you are ever stranded, and this kit should include food, water, first aid supplies, flares, jumper cables, and seasonal supplies such as blankets or extra clothing for the winter months. Knowing the hazards likely for your area, you can now make a plan, which is the second part of being Red Cross ready. Different hazards require you to take different actions. For instance, during a tornado, you need to move to a basement, storm cellar, or interior room on the lowest level with no windows, but for a home fire, everyone needs to evacuate immediately and meet at their designated safe meeting space. Talk with everyone in your household about how to prepare for and respond to an emergency that are most likely to happen where you live, work, learn, or play. Identify responsibilities for each member of your household and plan to work together as a team. If a household member is in the military or has extended business travel on a regular basis, plan on how you respond if they are away. Individuals with access or functional needs will need to prepare a bit differently. Create a personal support network that can help you plan and provide assistance if a disaster happens. Remember not to depend on just one person. Try and include a minimum of 3 people in your network. Complete a personal assessment of the functional abilities and possible needs during and after a disaster situation. Make sure you practice your disaster plan with your personal support network at least twice a year. Don't forget to think about what you will do with your pets, because most American Red Cross shelters cannot accept pets because of health and safety concerns and other considerations. However, service animals are allowed in Red Cross shelters, and you can contact your local emergency management agency for a list of pet-friendly shelters. Your plan should also include key details. Identify 2 ways to evacuate from every room in your home, your neighborhood, or your town, depending on how big the disaster is. Plan what to do in case you're separated during a disaster, and choose 2 places to meet. One of those places should be right outside your home in case of a sudden emergency such as a fire, and also choose one that is outside of your neighborhood in case you cannot return to your home or are asked to evacuate. Don't forget to consider any transportation challenges that might be encountered by individuals who use mobility assistive equipment or those who don't have access to a vehicle. An important part of your disaster plan is how you'll communicate, especially if you and your members of your households are not together when the disaster hits. Make sure each member of your household has contact details for everyone and that they keep that information with them at all times. Determine now ahead of time what important records you will need and where they should be stored, such as a safety deposit box or a fireproof box. Remember, it's also a good idea to keep these copies in your kit. If you are without power for an extended period of time or have to evacuate, it will be important to have a place to stay. It's a good idea to find a place close to you if you have to leave, because something like a home fire and then some place farther away in case an entire community or region is impacted by something like a hurricane, flood, or tornado. And if the authorities encourage you to shelter in place, ensure that all household members are aware of any actions they must take and where in the home they must go. Once you have your plans developed, remember to practice. Review plans with everyone in your household. If anyone has a personal support network or requires assistance, be sure to review the plan with them as well. Practice with everyone, members of your household, your personal support network, and anyone else you may rely on in an emergency or disaster. Since communication is such an important part of your plan, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. When thinking about a communication plan, start by taking the following steps. Complete a contact card for each member of the household. Everyone should keep these cards with them at all times. This card should include the names and numbers of work, school, and cell phones. Remember, if your cell phone is not functioning or you don't have power, you will not have access to your saved phone numbers in your phone. Choose an emergency contact and have everyone memorize the phone numbers if they are able to do so. During a disaster, household members can text or call this person to let them know that they are safe. Make sure to include at least one friend or relative who lives outside of town. In regional emergencies, it may be difficult to make landline or mobile phone calls to others in the area, but you may be more likely to reach people outside of your area. Make sure your household members know how to text, which can include turning on the cell phone, finding the texting app, typing a message, and sending it to that contact. Keep emergency telephone numbers in your cell phone and post them near your home phones if you have one. Some good numbers to have are your emergency contacts, the fire department, police station, and a hospital near you. In a major disaster, phones will be down and travel will be difficult. What if you get separated? Or what if loved ones outside of the area want to find you and know that you're safe? The American Red Cross Safe and Well website, which is listed on the screen, provides a central location online for people in disaster areas to register their status so that loved ones can find out where they are and inquire about their well-being. This is a free tool that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. In other words, it is always there, and access is available in English and Spanish. Once you register on the site, you can post a message and update your status at any time. You can also find and get in touch with someone you love who may have experienced a recent disaster. Now that you've learned about getting a kit and making a plan, it's time to learn how to be informed. We talked a little bit about being informed when we talked about how important it is to know the hazards you should prepare for, but there's more to it than that, and it's an ongoing process. Here are some things that you should do. Know how your community warns of an oncoming disaster. Some communities have outdoor sirens, and other depends on media and smartphones to alert residents of severe weather or dangerous events. Use a weather radio or listen to local stations on a battery-powered radio or television for updated information. This allows you to access important information even if the power is out. You may also want to consider having a list of local stations in your disaster kit. Understand the difference between a watch and a warning and how to respond to each. A watch means that there is a potential for a specific type of weather event or hazard. Be alert. Start making preparations, monitor the weather and local emergency broadcasts, and be ready to take immediate action if the conditions worsen. A warning means that a specific type of weather or hazard is imminent or already occurring. You should take immediate action to protect yourself when a warning is issued. You should also learn about an area before you travel there. Know what disaster risks they face and how to protect yourself. For instance, when visiting an area known for earthquakes, know what to do when the shaking starts and after it stops. You can download the free Red Cross Emergency app. It lets you monitor 35 different severe weather and emergency alerts. It's also a great idea to know your neighbors, as they can be good resources of community information or if there is someone that needs help. So far in this presentation, we have learned a lot about how to prepare for disasters, but we also must recognize the need to be ready for the aftermath of a disaster should one occur. Disasters can be really stressful, but the good news is that there are things we can do to cope with the stress. First, we want to make sure we are aware of the feelings that can come with disasters. What feelings do you think you might have during or after a disaster? You may feel physically or mentally drained, have difficulty making decisions or focusing, become easily frustrated, find yourself arguing with friends or family, feel sad, numb, lonely, or worried, or experience changes in appetite or sleep patterns. You can help deal with these stresses by doing any of the following. Be sure you and your loved ones are safe. Eat healthy foods and drink plenty of water. Get rest. Stay connected with friends or family. Be patient with yourself and those around you. Set priorities and break down tasks into small ones. Gather information about help and resources. Stay positive and help others. If the stress continues or worsens, or if you or someone you know is feeling that life isn't worth living, please seek immediate help. Children are also affected by the stress of disasters. They depend on us to help them cope, especially when they are evacuated, injured, see hurt people or dying people, or experience death or injury of a relative, friend, or pet. All of this may be made worse if they have experienced disasters or other traumatic events in the past. Stress can also be magnified by temporarily living somewhere else, losing contact with friends, losing things important to them, parental job loss, and household financial stress. Help children by remembering that how we adults react can affect how children react. For example, children sense the confidence we feel that comes with being prepared. So before a disaster, help build confidence by including children in making the household disaster plan. Encourage your children to talk, listen to them, and acknowledge their fears and answer questions as simply as possible. During and after an event, Spend extra time with your children and as soon as possible, reestablish daily routines and also consider limiting media exposure. There's a great booklet available at redcross.org called Helping Children Cope with Disaster that will provide you with additional information and specific ways to assist children. We've talked a lot about important information, and I want you to remember that there are tools that are available to help you. You can use contact cards to make sure everyone in your household can reach someone if a disaster strikes. You can download the Red Cross emergency and first aid apps on your mobile devices. These apps provide you with vital information in the event of a disaster. Both are free and available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Just like with your plan, practice using the Safe and Well website. Once you're registered, you have the option of updating your Facebook and Twitter feeds. The apps and the Safe and Well website are also available in Spanish. But remember, you can't count on technology alone. Phones break or lose their charge, cell coverage goes out, and phone lines become overwhelmed. Be sure you think about how you will communicate if these things become unavailable. Thank you for your attention today. You've gotten started by becoming aware of how to prepare for disasters and learning about the types of disasters in your area. To be fully prepared, be sure to create and practice your disaster plan, build your kits, and become informed about your community. Also, please consider taking a Red Cross first aid class or becoming a Red Cross volunteer. Together, we can help our community be prepared for any disaster. If you have any questions about this presentation, you can email mnpreparedness@redcross.org or call your local Red Cross office. For Red Cross disaster assistance, you can call 1-844-878-9933. If you would like more information about anything else that the American Red Cross provides, please check out redcross.org or talk to one of our volunteers, as they are always happy to assist. If you found today's presentation helpful, please recommend it to your friends, neighbors, and coworkers. Thank you again for listening. I hope that you now feel more confident and prepared to help your household be Red Cross ready.